Hey everyone, Margarita here. I'm going to film this episode today on the extreme amounts of jealousy and envy that have been going on since I was born, stemming from my mother's behavior, because she is a non-neurotypical human being with several undiagnosed mental and personality disorders. This has been going on my entire life. It's just that she wears a mask to everyone else she is around, and no one else was ever aware what she was actually doing to me behind the scenes, and that it had been going on my entire life. Now, it took till my injury became extreme, and once I had began treatment back in 2019 for me to figure all of this out, when my memories fully started coming back from around that age. Due to the amount of brain injuries, I had lost, I didn't even realize I'd lost a bunch of memories, probably due to the amount of PTSD and distress I remained in my entire childhood, and barely making it to safety when I bought my first home at age 18. I didn't even realize I lost any memories until 2019 when those memories came back. So this all stemmed from the time I was born, and apparently my mother never wanted children. My dad did. And then I was born, and I was born via C-section. So after that happened, my mother was all, poor me, I need to be taken care of. I had to have a C-section. I was a preemie, so I remained in the hospital for about another week or two, and my dad was the only one visiting me. So after I got home from the hospital as a newborn, my mother was not taking care of me at all. There was no bond with the baby whatsoever. My dad was the one who took on that role, and then eventually, I don't know if he took time off work or not, but he was the one who took on that role. And my mother never assumed the role of a mother the way a normal mother would. And because my dad worked so much my entire life, he never realized that that never happened. He just continued on doing what he was doing, and that the entire time she was actually jealous of me. Not only that, but I was an extremely cute baby. All types of strangers would always comment on how cute I looked or how cute I was, and that still goes on to this day. That's gone on my entire life. So the older I got, it grew with that. Her jealousy and envy grew with that. This is a gruesome type of jealousy and envy, and what has come out of it, the amount of crimes that have occurred, because this is criminal. These are criminal actions, many of them, and she's gotten many other people involved in them. So the fact that this is still going on today, nobody's had to have paid the price yet. But I guarantee you that's not going to last much longer, because I'm going to take down every single one of these people who are involved, and her at the root. She's going to be dragged off to she actually belongs in prison, not a mental facility. Because of all of the control, that's why she belongs in prison, not a mental facility. But she's going to be dragged off looking like Carrie from the movies, looking crazy in the very end, I do believe. So I'm not too far off from piecing everything fully together and having enough evidence to take everybody down who's participated in all of this. But this all stems back to the extreme amounts of jealousy and envy that have always gone on. So from a very young age, even when I was in school, when I was in kindergarten, preschool, kindergarten, first grade, she immediately began getting those people there to believe that I was a liar. I'm always known to lie. I had already confronted her about poisoning batches of food. She did that in case I tried to tell on her to anybody, that they would never believe me. And then she would make up other things that I would do that I didn't actually do, and the teachers would confront me about them, and I tried to tell them, because I was so young, I didn't have the vocabulary or understand what was actually going on. I kept trying to say my mother did this or that, not really understanding how to describe all of this. And every time I would get the response that, you can't blame things on your mother. You have to take responsibility for your own actions. Except for the thing is, I didn't actually do any of those things. And she kept doing this all along the way. Although this is still going on in the current day. So even when I cut ties at age 18, 22 years ago, it went on in school-wise, all the way up until then. And she grew that as I got older in school, she remained calling every teacher every school year, trying to get as many on board as she could. And she did succeed heavily. Several years, it was very heavy. And once I got older, I had numerous teachers. They would all participate with her and believe everything she was saying about me to be real when it was never real. Now in 5th grade, that was the worst year. I didn't want to live anymore during that year due to how extreme the harassment and abuse was, because it had then traveled to my main homeroom teacher and one out of the 2 other teachers as well, because I had a total of 3 that year, and they heavily participated, believing everything she was saying. And I'll do its own video on the 5th grade year, because that was very extravagant. Really, those teachers should have been charged for what they did to me. It was very, very extreme, and it continued on. Me not really fully realizing, I knew she was calling them in the background. I just didn't realize how frequent or the extreme nature of it all until 2019, when I was fully remembering everything. These brain injuries that I had, it caused everything to become fully known, to come back full-blown memories. I'm talking in full detail. The majority of these memories are full-on detail down to what I was wearing. So none of these memories are wrong. There might be certain things I don't remember, but even today, little pieces, they do come back. Pieces that seem to be missing, significant pieces, they do come back. Although the majority of my memories have returned some years ago, after I'd went through well over $100,000 in out-of-pocket treatments at the private facility. So, yeah, back when I was in school, I had no clue why people were talking to me this way, why all the teachers were talking to me in the manner in which they were, and the things they kept saying to me. I didn't understand it. And after a certain point of me trying to say, without understanding what a narcissist is, or even knowing of the word at the time, or gaslighting, or the term, or all these different names for this extreme abuse, Munchausen by proxy, all of that, I had no clue what any of that was, never even heard of any of it. So didn't have the ability to describe all this. But at some point, I gave up trying to explain it to teachers when they would continue to harass me and scream at me in my face, in the hallway, in front of other students. It went on the entire time until my mother managed to get me banned from school. She got me kicked out of school at age 17 for some pills I should have never been given in the first place. All of those were crimes that she got away with as well, using the Brownstown Police Department back then to help her, using the school district to help her, the school cop lady, it was Officer Meter at the time. I even have a picture of her business card, because what she would do is when she would get people to help her, she would collect their business cards, because cell phones didn't exist back then, and she would regularly call all of these people. I have pictures of them because she dropped them off over at my house some years. She had my dad do it. She's not allowed in my home, but she had my dad do this. Dropped off all the evidence that I was already putting together. She just didn't realize I was already putting it together. The memories had come back, and I had hired a professional to start documenting what was going on in the current from that point forward. She just didn't know yet. But I have evidence of this, and so she would get all these people to help her harass me, scream at me, and I really didn't fully understand why I was being yelled at, or I didn't understand that they were told a whole false story that wasn't real either. Until 2019, as I was putting it together backwards. But looking back on it, knowing what I know today, and going back to that day, it fully clicked what was actually going on. So somewhere around elementary school, I gave up trying to explain myself, or I just kept trying to say, well, no, my mother did this or that, or she, something along those lines, because that's really what was going on. I didn't actually do any of those things she said. And every person had the same response to me, that it's that I need to take responsibility for my actions, and I can't blame things on my mother. And then here in the background all these years, she would be laughing like a deranged lunatic and say to me, everybody always believes the mother. Yeah, and she kept doing that all along the way. Still does that today. She got away with it for so long and farmed it from the time I was so young, that it's still going on today at 41 years old. Now, once I bought my first home at 18 and left, she got even more jealous because I had had a stable job for some time, and that's how I got my first home, and then leveled up again. And I was making more money than her at age 16 and always have. I've never been a broke loser without a job. I've been 100% self-made, self-built all along, 100% self-employed since 2012 and self-employed since 2007. And I've owned numerous businesses along the way, whichever ones have not been destroyed by her. A lot of them have been destroyed by her criminal activities and her escapades that she goes on, and the harassment and the chasing around different towns and the kidnappings of my children. That has wiped out numerous businesses along the way as well. And at the root, it has caused my permanent severe injury, because I would have never been in the place that caused it had she not be going on all these escapades and crime sprees, getting away with everything she's gotten away with. I was already 100% working for myself, was not ever planning on going backwards working for someone else ever again. So this here in the background is actually my third house. So I bought my first house at 18, my second at 23, and I bought this one when I was 33, and now I'm 41, and I bought another one 3 years ago as well. So, and that was an urgent matter. It was a matter of life and death due to the ongoing crimes and escapades. It legitimately was life or death. My son and I were living on the floor here with our brains bleeding once Ford Motor Company spilled their 15,000 gallons of gasoline and did not properly clean it up, all due to my mother inserting herself in that situation. I will be releasing that story soon. It is up on YouTube, but I have not posted on any social media sites. I'm trying to just upload as many videos as possible, and then I'll go back and I'll do some shorts, and I'll use the other sites to kind of spread the word once I get the majority of the videos up. But eventually this is going to blow like wildfire, and it's going to spread all over, because this is the most extreme case of Munchausen by proxy, longest running case with the most amount of crimes gotten away with to this day. Nobody's case goes on that long as mine has. And you can see by my house in the background, I've owned this house for 8 years. You can see that it is all due to the jealousy and envy. And I don't know what she's been telling all these people all of this time, that this isn't my house, or I can't afford to live here, and that's why I had to buy the other house in Ohio, and I run off in different states and chase different men in different states, and that this was my ex's house and he paid for it, and that's why I had to leave because I couldn't afford it, or my dad was paying it, or whatever she's telling people. It's got to be something along the lines of all of those, a mix of some of those. This has always been my house. Every house has always been mine that I've 100% paid for all along the way. No one's ever paid my bills ever. Now there was a short period of time where my kid's dad did live here for a short period of time when I first got this house, but he then signed his half of the house over to my youngest child, as he should have, because it was all of my work and all of my money that paid for everything and got everything where it is. This is what I was doing as a single individual, and the only reason we were together is because we were forced to work together because of the kidnapping of my daughter back in 2013. And that led to numerous issues and problems. So you can view that video separately on the 2013 escapade. But this all ties back to the ongoing extreme nature of the jealousy, envy, all of the crimes and harassment that have gone on. It's all due to it's an extreme, gruesome amount of jealousy and envy. Because I am 100% self-made, self-built. I've been building success from the ground up from the time I was literally 16 years old, but I started my first business at 11 and started working in restaurants at 14. I was gainfully employed at age 16 and have always maintained steady employment. Usually it's numerous streams of income. I usually have numerous streams of income. I've always owned real estate in the background running, with the intent of making money one way or another off of each piece of real estate. Although long-term, my plans have been disrupted numerous sets of times, and there's been 3 total wipeouts, and a 4th if you count the Chapter 13 bankruptcy and the restart on that after the last escapade went on, that my mother is behind all of, because she uses all of these large agencies and people to harass me and chase me from homes that I've owned, and that's what leads to each wipeout and restart. So she's responsible for all of those. And for me to still had bought this house 8 years ago, she couldn't let anybody know the truth because she had already grown this false narrative for a couple decades at that point. So I don't know what she told people, but this is 100% my house. Has been all along. At no time could I not ever afford my own bills. I've always made more than enough money, and I work smart, not hard. So the majority of the time I've lived here, and pretty much like the whole time I've lived in this house, I was only working, when I was extremely injured, minimally 8 to 10 hours a week, 1 to 2 shifts, and sometimes I could not work at all, and at no time should I have been working. That's what I did to maintain, to not lose what I had gotten to once I'd finally gotten into this house after all the other restarts and wipeouts. And then COVID allowed me to recover to a certain degree, to where things were flowing more smoothly, where there wasn't all these extreme hiccups. All that had to be maintained was treatment from that point forward, which was maintained for over 5 years steadily, the entire time. So until more hiccups and problems that she had created in the background using others to help her, created those problems as well. She wanted to make sure I lose everything. So here she is in the background, making sure every home I buy is wiped out. All of my business plans are wiped out. She wants to prove that I'm the false person that she's been telling everybody that I've been all of these decades. She can't let anybody know the truth. I've kept my entire life private and off of the internet my entire life, all the way until releasing these videos several months back. I did have just a Facebook page, but no information about me or pictures or anything, that I created for a business I had some years ago, but did not post anything until I began releasing these videos. So it's not even used. I don't even use it in that sense. I just use it to get the content out for people, for word to spread around town that the crimes are still ongoing. The false narrative is very extreme. This is criminal. It's an extreme criminal nature of jealousy and envy, and she can't let anybody know the truth. So I don't know how much longer it's going to be until the truth fully blows. There are some documents I'm working on picking up soon, and hopefully that just blows the lid off of everything. It doesn't matter. Nobody's ever helped me any step of the way. I've never had anybody fully stand by my side or support me 100%, or I didn't have any support system whatsoever the entire time, only a few people at a distance. It wasn't a proper support system. Either way, nobody's ever had my back my entire life. The entire time all of this is going on, I've always lived in survival mode, walking on eggshells, with crime after crime and agency after person chasing me and harassing me all of these decades. So no, I've never had a solid individual next to me or behind me or whatever. There's nobody to stand next to me and say, hey, everything she's saying is true. This lady's the problem. And it's gotten so extreme that my 2 older kids have been completely brainwashed as well. My son by his paternal grandmother, my daughter by my mother. And it all ties back to my mother's delusions and her crimes and the brainwashing and the repeating of the delusions to my dad and my daughter over and over and over again, which caused extreme chaos and destruction in my life. And even more so once I became permanently injured and I was in an extreme fight for my life, literally just living here without treatment in the medical system due to her crimes and her participation in that as an employee there. I literally stayed homebound, could not go anywhere, and barely got myself to treatment and back for those 3 years until I crossed the first threshold, not knowing if I was going to live the entire time. Couldn't even get from room to room in my house. It would take hours. So during that time, she used my daughter and my dad and several agencies, especially the police department here in Flat Rock, to harass me tremendously. CPS as well, showing up, creating extreme chaos and destruction even more. When I barely had the ability to string sentences together, living with continuous amounts of brain swelling and extreme pain and suffering. I was stuck that way, and this is what was going on during all of that, all due to the house that I own right here in the background. And she wanted to make sure she did everything she could to cause me to lose this home, and that was also why she inserted herself in the Ford gas leak. She also needed me deceased as well. Now there is a giant plot twist. I am getting there. There is a root reason for all of this. The jealousy and envy stems from numerous directions with her. It stems from my dad's attention being brought onto me once I was born and taken away from her. It stems, there is financial gain at the root of all of this and all these individuals involved. There is forms of payment that have been exchanged between high-level officials and my mother. And there is more. There is much, much more. And yeah, there's much more to my story. I will get more back with it. I just wanted to do a video in front of the house so I can prove what the problem is. But for someone to be walking around telling everyone how unstable I am and how I'm this broke loser living in a cardboard box. This is where I've been for the last 8 years. This is my main home where I've been the last 8 years. Yes, I temporarily left for 1.5 years to live in my home in Ohio. Due to the fact that it was life-threatening medical emergency. Once board spilled, my son and I were living on the floor here with our brains bleeding, and most of the rooms had high levels of gas particles. We literally had to have 0. It wasn't even EPA's level of all clear the first 6 months. Even then, we still had to have 0, and it took 2 years for it to clear, for us to come back here safely. But we were gone 1.5 years. But this was still my main home, and no time was I ever intending on leaving. This home already had business plans. So those business plans are now commencing. While I was gone, the $100,000 in damage was done by the lady who stayed in it for 12 months. Well, the damage was done after 12 months. She was here about 18 months before I got her out. It's been being worked on ever since then. And so it's been about 16 months since then. So the work is being finished up currently. So the business plans can continue. But at no time did my address ever change. At no time was I ever supposed to be gone. And at no time did I ever leave my home long term. I was temporarily away from my home. This has always been my home. She just couldn't let anybody know that. And numerous people have also told on themselves who have participated in these crimes by the words that have come out of their mouth, not believing this is my real home or that I pay for it or whatever the case is. It doesn't matter. Now, when I get more into the future in these other videos about all the different streams of income and businesses and everything I've done along the way, it's going to make a lot more sense why I am in life where I am and how I managed to just barely hold on all along. Because there's a lot more to all of this. I'm just barely getting started. I'm at about 135, 140 videos maybe that I've released, and I have a lot more recorded that I have not released because they have to be done in a certain order. So yes, there will be well over 1,000 videos when it's all said and done, when it finally all comes out. But I had to do the video out here so everyone could understand and see that this is the problem. This is exactly why I'm being criminally harassed, why all the delusion's spreading. That is why I kept my life offline the entire time. And now I'm using it to my advantage to clear my name and spread the word about what's really been going on my entire life. But yeah, this is what's been going on. This is where I've been. This is my actual home, all owned by me, all the work done by me, all the payments made by me. My third home. Still own the fourth one. I've owned it for 3 years. So those are delusions. Everything everybody's ever been told are delusions. Now I am gathering the documents to blow open the next set of circumstances. Shouldn't be longer than a couple weeks here. Although I do believe a little bit of games are being played delay-wise in preventing me from retrieving those documents. So depending on what's given to me, I'm going to know who's lying and if there's more crimes committed than what I already know has happened, because I already know what has happened. I'm living in the nightmare. But yes, this is what's been going on. This is the reason for all of this. Not only that, but like I said, I had my first house at age 18. She just couldn't let anybody know that. She couldn't let anybody know that I've always been the one paying all my bills, and I've always owned numerous vehicles. So that's the story of my life. She can't stand it. And yes, my next business plans are commencing here very soon. Loose ends are being tied up. Everything is beginning to flow again. It's just taking a little bit of time, a little bit more work, and hopefully it's finished in less than 2 months. My time frame and my limits in my mind on all of this, it needs to be tied up in a little under 2 months at this point. So I'll be back with more. Thanks. Bye.